Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tony and this is TC's Outdoors. And it's hot here, so we're getting an early start today. So bundle sales have been really good so far this year. Last week was the second week in June, and I had my highest weekend sales year or ever, really. I sold 35 bundles between the two stands from Friday to Sunday. So that was Father's Day weekend. So pretty awesome. Hopefully that's the trend all summer, but either way, I need to make some bundles. So I have kind of changed the process a little bit, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So if you guys remember the bundler that I painted up that I bought, there it is in all its glory. Looking good, orange and blue, baby. Having it on the pallet is fantastic. Being able to just pull in the garage, grab it, and haul it wherever the wood is, instead of before I was loading it in the Ranger, or carrying the bundler out here and then bringing wood to the bundler in the Ranger, and that's kind of a pain. You're handling it multiple times. And also, I started putting the bundles in an IBC cage instead of stacking them in my garage on a pallet. That has some problems. There was a lot of bugs coming in with the wood, ants and things like that, and it also takes up a pretty big chunk of real estate in the garage, and I don't really like that, having it just sitting there cluttering the place up. So I decided I have this one 330-gallon tote, and when that's full of firewood, it's a little too much for the KIOTI CK3510. It'll lift it, but it is super tippy moving it around, and I'm just not real comfortable with it. So I figured it'd be best just to stack bundles in it. The way I stack it, I get 7 per layer. I can get 35 in there without really going over the top rail. And 35 seems to be like a pretty good number to get me through the week. So if I start the week with everything full and I have an extra 35 in the garage, I should be able to make it until I have the opportunity to get out here and make more bundles. So so far that's worked out, but we're early in the year yet, like I said, but it's gonna get hot today, so I want to get out here and get these done now so I can try to beat the heat. There's a little bit of shade over here. I've got this cherry tree right here that's in the chicken run that gives me a little bit of shade, but not a ton, and it's a hazy sunshine right now. So I just want to get going, and so I'll show you kind of how I bundle nowadays. So either way, let's make some bundles. Alright, so the process of making bundles is pretty straightforward. You just grab some firewood and stick it in there. If you guys have been around long enough, you know that I've had this bundler since the fall sometime I bought it, and it's been great, to be honest with you. It's definitely sped me up quite a bit. It does have its drawbacks, like I said, being completely 100% homemade. The tensioner for the wrap isn't the best. These bushings are made out of like regular steel, so they kind of seize up from occasionally. And also, I did order, right now it's using 10-inch wrap, and it's the smaller diameter tube. So I did order some 12-inch wrap that's heavier gauge, and hopefully when that comes, I'll get some different bushings, and hopefully everything moves a little smoother, and I can keep the tension kind of a little more consistent is the goal. But also, if you remember, I have the kindling cracker over here on the side, and that has worked out sweet to be able to just pop these things apart like that and get the piece you're looking for, and you're good to go. This wrap is a little thin also. It worked out okay when I was doing it by hand with this wrap, but it's really hard to be consistent and make sure that they don't fall all over the place. So what I do now is I just leave this a little loose, and I'll grab the roll. That way I can make sure it's got a few tight wraps on there, and then I'm good, because I don't like it when they fall apart. And that's it. Bundled. Having the bundler right out here by the wood, opposed to filling up the Ranger, taking the Ranger full of wood and bugs into the garage, and then making the bundles, stacking the bundles, picking the bundles back up. just isn't the most efficient way. This has worked out pretty good, having it out here, and it's nice to keep the mess outside, but and to only handle the wood once. So if you've been around since I got this bundler station kind of all put together after I bought it and painted it, and I put the kindling cracker on there, you know that I talked about trying to pursue some retail locations, and I did. I reached out to a couple of places and they weren't interested. So I guess they're not interested because they never called back, and I'm not going to keep going back and hounding them. I don't know. That's just not me. So, but in all honesty, I'm not mad that I didn't end up with them, because I don't know that I could keep up. Keep up and be happy, I guess, is where I would like to be. I don't want to have so many orders hanging over my head where I'm stressing out about making bundles instead of just enjoying the process and having fun making it, and you know, enjoying the little side hustle that it is. I don't want it to turn into something big and something that I don't know, something I'm not going to enjoy. So I'm pretty happy where we're at right now as far as the firewood sales. Like I said, 30, 35. So like I was saying, having those in the tote on the pallet forks just in the non-heated portion of my garage is pretty sweet, because I could just back up to that overhead door, throw them in the truck, and I'm on my way off to go deliver or fill up the stand or whatever the case may be. So it's worked out pretty good. So sorry, all over the place here. So my bundles are 1 cubic foot. You see this mark right here? I've got that measured out. So I go at or just above that mark, and that gives me the 1 cubic foot. And I have not had really too many complaints, or any to speak of, which works out pretty good. Everybody seems happy. They're buying them, selling. I'm selling tons of them, so it's worked out pretty good. So if you remember, in the beginning I talked about maybe doing 3/4 cubic foot, and I haven't sold any of those, but I do think that in the coming future, so next year at my brother's house, I think I'm going to sell 3/4 cubic foot just for $5 each. So right now I'm selling the 1 cubic foot for $7 each, or 3 for $20, which apparently is really hard for people to understand what that means. So I've experienced a lot of theft this year down there, which is kind of unbelievable. But I had more theft this spring, the first 3 weeks to stand was out, than I did all last year total. So and I know that the camper clientele in the beginning of the year is more fishermen than anything else, and I guess maybe they're just not that honest of a group of people. But it's nearly impossible to police that kind of stuff, and it's just easier than I'm thinking. Maybe, you know, maybe if I don't have to people worrying about trying to make change and stuff like that, maybe it'll be better. I'm not 100% sure. It's the same. If you spend $20, you're going to get the same volume of wood. So I guess that's my way of thinking, is at least people that are buying, you know, the higher volume, the 4 for $20s and that kind of thing, they'll still get a good value, and hopefully people not having to make change will cut down on the theft. I hope. I'm not really sure. I guess that'll be next year's trial. All right, so the bundling's done. There we go. 35 bundles ready to go for this week. So the bundler having it out here is definitely the most efficient way I've come up to making bundles. And it took me about hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes, something like that, to make 35 bundles. So that's not awful as far as time goes. And I don't know, now both stands will be full and I'll have those 35 ready to go as hopefully they get sold. Man, I've been finding a lot of glass out here. Here's another chunk of glass. So my property apparently was a dump before we bought it, and I pick up glass every time I'm walking around out here. The only downside is that I see some beet juice on the outside of the tire here, and I don't know where it's leaking out of, and I don't know what's going on there. I know I'll figure it out eventually, but I hope I don't end up with a flat tire. That'll be a bummer. I did end up cutting one of my front tires, but they're not loaded. I just plugged it and went about my business, but not a big deal. But either way, back to the program. So let's check out the garden. So I've been busy, like I said. We've got the asparagus is cranking this year. I haven't harvested any. I'm just going to let that go to fern like it is right now. Hopefully next year we'll have really strong crowns and I'll be able to harvest a bunch. Peppers and my peas. See how weak and weary the peas are? That's because I had an invasion of woodchucks. So there was 2-3 woodchucks out here that were helping themselves to the garden, and I'm in the process of trying to eradicate that situation, but I haven't seen one in a while, so we might be on top of it now. My wife, Mrs. TC's, has been out here with the pellet rifle, trying to maintain them because they only show up apparently when I'm at work. But either way, peppers. These are cherry tomatoes. You see, I've got the Florida weave started down there. I pruned these pretty hard this year, harder than I've ever pruned anything, cutting all the leaves off below the first 2 rows, and I might do one more when I do the next row of Florida weave. Because every time I prune them like that, the plants respond and shoot up. They grow so good. So I don't know. Thank you, internet, for that information. But we've got some radishes over here. They're, I don't know, 4 or 5 days away from being harvested. These are hot peppers that aren't doing too well. I got some serranos and some jalapenos that really, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Watermelons over there. See my finger? And then we've got cantaloupe over here. I've never grown cantaloupe. Last year was my first time ever actually harvesting a watermelon and having it work out. So we're going to try it again. We're going to grow them up the trellis again. I'll bring you along for that later on if you're interested. And probably even if you're not interested, you'll see a little cantaloupe and watermelon action. And then we've got some cucumbers that are a little slow going. These are the pickling cucumbers. I'm not sure why they're kind of stalling. These are regular tomatoes. I did the same thing as far as the hardcore pruning, and I'm going to get out here today and I'm going to take these leaves off, this whole stem. I'm going to take all the suckers off, and then I'll do another row, and everything below here, all of the foliage is going to be chopped off. And I don't know really the science behind it. I always thought that the more, you know, branches and things, everything was better, but that's not how it's working out this year. So the hard pruning, the tomatoes like it, if you're interested. Even if you're not, I guess now you know. But let's take a walk over the woodshed. So like I said in the last video, I've been working on filling up the woodshed. I've been doing a lot of odds and ends stuff around the property, trying to be ready so that this year I can deer hunt a little more and a little less firewood activity during deer season. So we've got it full. I bet it's probably 2/3 of the way full, and that's just about what we burned last year. But depending on, it was a pretty warm winter, so I don't have any more seasoned firewood to put in there right now. I've got these 2 totes. These are dry. This is just chunks and stuff. I'm going to burn this stuff first thing. These 2 totes here. And then I have 4 totes out here of random, there's a lot of weird like oak and stuff that was in that first kind of batch of logs that I got that was junk, and it wasn't drying. Okay, so another reason that the heat isn't great is the camera overheated, so I'm not sure where we got cut off there. But I was saying, these 4 totes, this one here is all just kind of oddball cuts that just needs a little more time to dry. Those front 2 totes are oak and nasty stuff that was stacked up, all over the place, back there where those apple crates are, and doesn't get a lot of sun back there, so it had been back there for a couple years, but it just wasn't drying. So I'm gonna get it out here in the sun, and hopefully by the end of this burning season, I'll be able to get it burned up. That's my hope anyhow. And worst case scenario, if that's not all enough firewood for the season, I do have those 3 totes on the other side of the tractor over there. There's 3 IBC totes full of cherry, maple, and ash that I'd split smaller for bundles, but I'm the #1 customer around here, so worst case scenario, I'll burn that, and then it won't make it to be bundles, but that's okay. I would, at least I have it, I guess. That's kind of where we're at. And then the oak, I'll have oak for the following year. You guys have been watching me split that, but either way, that's where I'm going to wrap up the video today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I look forward to talking to you in the next one, and take care. Have a good day. We'll see you.